It's when these issues are discussed in the Parliament, on the ground, that politicians now have to take heed of what their constituents are saying.
For example, there was a lot of talk about the Labour Code. Do you really believe the average worker knows what's in the Labour Code?
I don't think so. And
but isn't it imperative that the average worker, for all kinds of reasons, knows what's in that Labour Code?
It is important, and I will be pressing to ensure that we go to all parts of St. Lucia to explain the Labour Code. And the trade unions also have an interest in doing this, because it's a tripartite.
I would imagine the trade unions have a duty to do that too. Yeah. But we were talking about governmental duties, and the Labour Code is just one of them. But okay, let's move to the season. In what ways have you found the campaigns different today as opposed to, let's say, 1992, your famous year, which we'll come to in due course?
I think people are more aware of what is taking place around them. People appear to be more interested in the issues that affect them personally. You get the almost total, drainage, roads, the mortgages.
Yes, people have always been,
but even more so now.
People people have always figured, okay, at election time they'll all come around and they'll fix my drain and they'll fix my back road. That is pathetic.
Yes, it happens from time to time, Rick. But what I'm saying is that people are more interested in my view, in the quality of life. There are people who are not asking for much. They do not need much, but they need to have a proper road.
And how is it that the politicians can find the means to fix the back roads and fix the footpath at election time, but they can't do it 5 years previous or 2 years previous? Why is that?
Well, that is a question, but there's also a situation where you can't do everything in 5 years. So that even I know from my past life in the opposition, where I had to do a lot of those things myself. They can only do them, they can only be done incrementally.
I can understand it being very, very difficult as an opposition guy, and you having to understand that. But what I don't understand is how incumbent politicians seem not to be interested in that sort of until election time. Another point I want to bring up, in 92 and perhaps earlier, I mean, there was even 79. Crowds would be drawn to the market steps, in hundreds, thousands of people. In fact, in your time, the banana time, and there was no rah-rah music, and there were no dancers, and there were no, the things we have today. So you depended on what you were going to say to draw the crowds. Am I right? Remember that?
Yeah. But you just made the point, Rick, that it's change of the times. It's a new era that we're in, where these things are part of the attraction.
But these things don't just happen, Julian. Yes. They are encouraged. You import the music, you bring in all the calypsonians, the thing becomes a show.
Yes, it's part of it is a show. And,
but I don't think it's the times have changed.
I've always known, as in my days growing up, particularly in the JCs and so on, that you do what you have to do to get people to attend your meetings. So
are you saying that without the music and the dances and whatnot, people would likely not show up?
But it helps.
It helps.
It helps.
Okay. On a personal level, I would have thought that. Did you expect the kind of scathing campaign that you're now faced with?
Not really. I started off, as I told you, by discussing the issues and so on. I also knew some of the things that were planned for me, particularly this week. But I did not expect that it would have descended to the level that it has. What is generally referred to these days as negative campaigning. But it is here, it's my request program, I asked for it. So I have to deal with it.
Okay, so let's deal with it.
And let me say, deal with it in a way that at the end of the day, I can still live with myself and say hello to my opponent. I
Yeah.
think that is what I would like to achieve.
Okay, let's deal with the latest ad. I wish I had a clip, but I'm sure you're grateful I don't have a clip.
Yes, yes.
The one about gas in your ass, and I say ass because I remember writing an article at the time, when, the occurrence, and I remember distinctly the front page article. Ass is not a four-letter word, and it's only in St. Lucia that we seem to think ass is such a... The Americans say ass meaning you're behind. The Americans say, the English say ass meaning you're behind. But it's we who want to make a particularly naughty... Well, we do more than naughty with it, etc. Anyway, I have never been burdened by that. So in '92 I did write a headline on the issue. Ass is not a four-letter word. But looking at it now, looking at that ad now, I get the impression it's supposed to convey you're a violent guy, you can't be trusted, you lose your temper, and blah, blah, blah. What does that ad do to you now, looking back? How many years now? From '92 it was?
14, I think.
14 years ago. When you look back on that, what happens to your head? How do you feel? What occurs to you?
Well, I noticed that when I asked for some water this evening, you didn't bring a glass.
I brought you.